I went to a sale this weekend and I picked up this little bag here from a booth that was pretty well researched, items that were priced very close to eBay. And she had this bag and she didn't have a price on it. And it was packaged just like this, where all this stuff was in pink paper. And I asked, how much is this? Thinking she was going to say like $100. And she said, $2. So I said, I'll take it. And I handed her the $2 as quick as I could and got out of there. Let's look in the bag and see what's here. So we have 3 storybooks here. Oh, that one's not in such great shape. And 3 little bags. You can't really make out there that, oh, you kind of can, that they are sort of marked. So let's open them up, see what's in these bags, and if it matches. I'm excited. Okay, in the first bag, we had 2 girls here, and then we had 1 stand and this little pendant, which I'm guessing is Romeo and Juliet. Okay, let's see what's in the next bag and see if there's any complete sets here. Okay, I looked on the back of the books, and this says Romeo and Juliet, so apparently this is Romeo. So that is the set of Romeo and Juliet. Cool. And then the next bag included 2 stands, and it also included Rapunzel with her long, long hair and the prince. And here's their book that goes along with them. And I'll show you the books more in depth too. There they are on their stands. The prince and Rapunzel. And the king and queen and both of their stands. Now these books here would have originally had a bubble here and some packaging, and this is where the dolls would be placed, right here. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe. Did you ever have little Kiddles? I'll see you next time. Bye! Okay, friends, I wanted to just show you some of the completed listings for sales of little Kiddles on eBay. And the first thing I wanted you to notice, is that oftentimes people spell little Kiddles like you would think it would be, Little, but it's not little, it's Liddle, Liddle. So when you're looking things up, it's important to know that, just so you get the correct information. So this is a very recent sale. This one sold, this set here sold for $999 just a couple of days ago. So let's look at it closer. This is actually a set that they put together of different dolls. They call it the Sweet Shop, but it's a set of different dolls from different Little Kiddles lines. So there's like a whole line of lollipop dolls, there's a whole line of Cola Kiddles, and there's a whole line of Kiddle cones. And so this is a special set that they put together. So this would probably be a lot harder to find, and the reason why it's selling for $1,000. But let's look at some of the other ones here. This Alice in Wonderland set. This is a very popular set. She comes with a little theater. And then, of course, with any toy, if you find toys that are mint in the package, you're going to get more of a premium. Of course, the better the package is and whatnot. So some of these are selling in the $400 range. Now, Little Kiddles are small dolls, as the name says, little, but there are some differences, and a lot of toy companies would make these different toy lines, but this company, Mattel, in the 60s, I think they did well with their original toy lines, and so when they wanted to make different toys, they were like, well, they're small, we'll put them all together and keep calling them Little Kiddles. So let me show you an example here. This is the Alice in Wonderland set. It comes with Alice and the rabbit. Now, Alice is about 3 inches tall, and she's got a nice defined face. Her body is rubbery, so it can, and the 3-inch dolls have, some of them anyway, have like a wire inside. So sometimes they do get that green tinge because the wire has rusted inside there and it's coming out through the rubbery material. And you can see she's got little shoes on, and she's got a little rabbit with her. And she also comes in this little stage set that's just that cardboard with vinyl coating on it that we saw a lot of in the 60s and the 70s and even in the 80s. So like I said, she's about 3 inches tall. And then if we look at some of the other dolls, it looks like she must have sold, and then the sale must have got canceled and she got sold again. But it looks like she sold for 300 both times, so that's good. Some of the other ones are, for instance, this cosmic Kiddle, which looks like a little alien, and doesn't really look like the dolls at all. But hey, he's a little cute alien, so why not? He comes with a little spacecraft and even a little stand. So even not in the box, this guy sold for $300. And I have actually not had one of these. Let's see if they say. The entire set is 5 inches tall. But he himself, they do not say. I'm going to guess, though, just by looking at it, that this is one of the 2-inch dolls. Let me show you a better example of that. These here are the 2-inch dolls. Now you can kind of see the difference from the Alice one. Their heads are almost as big as their body, these ones are. And their bodies are still rubbery, but they don't have any kind of articulation. They don't have the wire inside, so they just kind of stand there with their arms out. They don't stand on their own either. A lot of these came with little stands because they do not stand on their own. And you can see their feet are tiny and have like shoes painted on them because you just couldn't make shoes that little. Because these are tiny little things. But they do make even smaller dolls. Okay, let's look at a few more dolls here. Price-wise, if you sell them in lots, of course, you can get what feels like big money, but most of the time, in my experience, selling things in lots, unless it's like a complete set, um, means that you're getting less for each individual item. So, like for instance, here they have these little cages have little zoo animals in them. They're called Zoolery, and they sold 2 for $249.99, which seems like a great price until we come down here and we look at this guy. He's a playful panther. He came in a little circus train cage and has a little necklace on him. He sold himself for $200. So let's look closer at him. Now, this little guy is about 1 inch. It's maybe even smaller than an inch. It's very tiny, the doll itself. The little train here is about probably 2 inches with the wheels and everything. I have had and sold one of these before. I got about 150, I think, for mine, but it was a few years ago. So for that instance, they sold those two in a lot for $249 when they could have gotten 200 and 200 for each of them. And then let's also talk about clones. They did make clones. Hasbro also had a set they called the Hasbro Storykins that were the same size, shape, style, everything as Little Kiddles. They started about a year after Little Kiddles. And this is actually a Disney Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs set made by Hasbro Storykins. So some of these Little Kiddle clones can be pretty valuable too. This set sold for $200 with the little house. And then, so there's another Alice. There's a lot of different dolls. Here's one of the little storybooks that we were just talking about. Of course, mine isn't new in the package like this, but still valuable sets. So let's talk about the jewelry Kiddles, which is different from the Zoolery Kiddles. This little gal comes in a necklace for you to wear. So you can kind of tell this, for a child's necklace. So this is not very large. The doll itself is about 1 inch. So they've got even smaller, and you can kind of see her eyes have even less, and her face has even less detail than the others. And she sold for $140. This here is another clone. It's like a little round travel case from the 60s or 70s, and they've put all the names of the airlines on here. It's probably not licensed. You can tell with this one versus the other ones how generic-y the face and the eyes and everything look. But it still sold for $107. So that's nothing to sneeze at. And then here's the Cola Kiddles, like I was talking to you about before. There's several different ones in this line. They have ones that come with little tea sets, tea party Kiddles. This is a Sleeping Beauty set, except for they call it a Sleeping Biddle because they like to use the puns and the names and everything. So this is just the rock from the Cosmic Kiddles set because this on its own is so hard to find. They're selling it for $150. And there's lots of ones that come with sets with accessories. So whenever you find just teeny tiny little pieces, you might want to look into the idea that they might be Little Kiddles. And some of the cases, they do have doll cases. This case, for instance, doesn't really sell well on its own. I've got one right now that I have listed for $17, and it's not selling. But of course, this one is full of dolls, so it's going to sell a lot better that way. And then the last type of Little Kiddle that I wanted to show you is the Little Kiddle Skididdlers. And Skididdlers are a type of little Kiddle that comes with this little appliance that's sticking out of her back here, that it has a little post that sticks into a hole in her back. So you can play with her without this appliance on. But then if you put it on, she has a mechanism in her legs to make her walk. The walking dolls in the late 60s, the 50s, the 60s, even the 70s were very popular. But the walking dolls were usually big dolls. And so it was probably pretty innovative for Mattel to make this tiny little doll walk. Now, these are probably the biggest of the little Kiddles. They're 3, maybe even just a little more than 3 inches tall. And you can and do find these little appliances separately because they came separately. They came off the dolls. They didn't come separately. They came together, but they would come off. And so those can be found separately sometimes. Okay, guys, that is all that I wanted to share with you today about little Kiddles. Are so many different items in the Little Kiddle universe, so many different collections and sets. They made them starting in the late 60s through the mid 70s, and even in the 90s, Tyco re-released Little Kiddles and or revived them. They didn't re-release them. They didn't have any of the originals, but they revived them, so they had kind of a fun little set of little Kiddles that they look pretty different. But one thing I can show you is if you go to my website, toy-addict.com, when you come onto the site, just below the video about putting new elastic in your doll clothes, you'll see this little menu here. And if you go to Toy ID Resources, that will take you to a page that has a lot of websites that have resources for toy identification in them. And if we scroll down here to girls' toys, and we scroll down just even a little bit further, we come to Little Kiddles. Now, there are not a lot of good websites that I know of for Little Kiddle reference. Doll reference is pretty good, and Fashion Doll Guide is okay. There's also a page for the clone dolls I was showing you, Hasbro Storykins. But if you happen to have a good website for referencing Little Kiddles, please let me know so I can add it here and we can share with the whole class. But those are some references that might help you to identify your Little Kiddles dolls and maybe their parts and pieces and shoes and all that. Okay, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you learned something. Comment down below, have you ever sold or found Little Kiddles? And make sure that you have liked the video if you haven't done so yet. And of course, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. We love having you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.